Hi, thanks for coming back to my little crafty secret. Today I'm going to share a process video on how I created 4 of my Christmas cards for the 10 on the 10th card collaboration that's taking part of this year. Now I am trying to for this collaboration, I'm trying to really dive into a few techniques rather than just having straight paper, designer paper type cards, because I really want to be able to hone in on my skills. You know, there's a lot of stamping and ink blending skills that or techniques that I want to hone in on and just get better at in general. So today I am just going to make 4 cards that are very similar, and that's just because I don't have all the time in the world to create different ideas and backgrounds, and I just want to start very simple until I'm able to rattle off a whole different type of background for every single card quite quickly, and I'm not really there yet. So I'm just using 3 different oxides, and I'm just blending them back and forth until I'm happy with the blend. Now for this first card, when I did the blend, I don't know what I was thinking. In my mind, the order of ink, as you see here, and the way it looked in my mind was perfect. It was just like the best idea, and as it's coming out here, I quickly realized that it's probably not the best, and I didn't like it at all. But I decided to keep blending, hoping that it would just blend out nicely and smoothly. I still didn't really like it, but at the end of it all, you know what? This card still came out really, really nice. What I really like about Distress Oxides is that the ink is very forgiving. So what that means is that, you know, if you add too much of the ink, of one color ink, you can always walk that back by adding on top of that ink the color that you actually intend to have. So here on this card panel, I decided to do 3 stripes, one of every color ink here. What's also nice about Distress Oxides, if depending on the inks that you use, you will see the undertone of that color. So if you notice between this purple and this teal color, you see this like bluish or dark purple in between. And so I saw that and I really liked it a lot. I think it was like maybe the 3rd card panel where I just used these 2 colors, and I wanted to really kind of highlight that that color. Yeah, you'll see undertones of the color you're working with, it depending on which other Distress Oxide that you're actually trying to blend together. And this pink color is so pretty. This is actually a pink raspberry. It is such a beautiful color. So for this 3rd card panel, I wanted to do something a little bit different. So I started with the corners there, and I'm just trying to fade it out to the middle. So I wanted to have a little bit lighter in the middle and really dark and saturated at the corners. I was also hoping that with you know, the tealish color, you know, I would be able to have more of that bluish color in the middle. And I'm just moving my paper over to the teal side of my little background there because I don't want the colors to mix as I'm trying to ink blend. Now I really like the way this background came out. It looks like some type of tropical beach where you get these really blue waters, and in this case I guess it'd be pink sand. So I really like the way that background came out. I thought that was pretty. And for this last one, again, I'm just doing at the corners, and this time I really strive for getting that purple-ish blue tone in the middle once I mix the two colors together. And I really saturate it as much as I can, saturate the paper as much as I can. So this teal color that I'm using is Peacock Feathers. The purple is Wilted Violet. And of course, the pink that I mentioned before is Picked Raspberry. As you can see, I put a lot of the purplish color down, and now I'm walking it back with this tealish color. And it's because I wanted to have a nice band of this, the blue undertone of that purple color. So I'm able to get a big band of it by the way that I did it. So I really like the way that came out. I thought that was really pretty. And I'm just kind of smoothing it out a little bit on the edges there. And that actually completes all of the card panels. Now here is a overview of all three panels that I just ink blended. Off screen I had sprayed them with water, and it's very light, you can't really tell here, but as the project goes I do spray it once more and you are able to see the little speckles of water. I just used a spray bottle that you get when you try to put on a new screensaver, so I kept that bottle for my crafting needs. And because these are wet and because I put in a lot of ink on these card panels, I am drying with my heat gun because I do plan to do some heat embossing on them. Now this is the Simon Says stamp. I believe it's called Season of Joy. And I really like this. I loved it the moment I saw it. It came out this past, I think, September or November, December timeframe, in that timeframe. So if you really like it, it should still be available there at Simon Says Stamp. I actually love their products. I had a few of their products when I first started. Never really paid attention to it until recently, and I realized how great their products were. And I really like the versatility that these stamps and other stamps have. So because this is a long stamp, I am not able to, of course, stamp it onto my entire card panel. It's like I said, it's too long, but I didn't want to have that little left-hand corner kind of filled in, so that's what I'm doing here. And I thought it would look really nice if it was only on the blue or the ocean side of my card. So I'm going to stamp it with Versamark ink and heat emboss it with Kitsch Flamenco Distress Glaze. I really like using distress glaze, and I don't see a lot of crafters use it. Maybe because the ones I've seen, when they heat emboss, it's like doing sentiments, and you don't really want to use distressed glaze for sentiments, although I have done in the past and it came out really nice. But this is more of a background, how I'm using the distressed glaze. It's more of a background. So I'm just going to use this pink embossing glaze for all of my 4 card panels. And here I am just looking for the best placement for this large stamp. And I do the same for the other 2. Now it's time to heat set the embossing powder. And at this time, you know, I keep forgetting to use my embossing powder, the powder that you put on before actually putting the powder. It's the anti-static tool, and I always do this where I forget to add it. But I am just going for gold here because this is glaze. I think it would be fine even if it was not on the stamped image, only because it would just add texture to the background. And if it was, maybe if I was using this for the sentiment, then yeah, this probably would be, I'd probably be more finicky about this. And hopefully at that point I would remember to use my embossing buddy, I forgot what it's called, embossing powder, pre-powder. So now I am just heat setting my embossing powder, and this is the magic. Look at that powder just up here. I like this part. It is so pretty. It's like, it truly is magic. All of a sudden it just awakens as it gets heated up. So because this is glaze, you can actually see the ink behind the glaze, and it kind of looks like a watermark. I decided to use pink because as it goes through the different colors, the glaze looks like it changes. It looks like you're using more than just one type of glaze. Sorry about the background noise. I'm trying to speak here, but there's a plane going overhead. So this is the Distressed Icicle, and this is where my heart sinks, and you'll see in a minute. I have never used this before, and I wanted to try it on this. I thought it would look really nice as a nice added texture, kind of see-through-ish. And I finished adding it through my stencil. I lift it up and it gets really stuck and it rips my project. And my heart just sinks. And I'm upset. But, you know, I have a lot of crafty supplies, and I figure I'm going to use textured paste and try to cover up those white spots in the pink area with the same ink. Like dye the textured paste with the same ink. And so that's what I do. And that's what I'm trying here. And so what's really nice about the textured paste is that you can color it any color you want with your inks, using your inks. So it makes it look like, you know, you have different color of textured paste in your craft room when you only have one. So I'm just scraping it off of this makeshift pad there. I'm trying to line up where I used the stencil, and I found the right spot, and I just kind of stencil it back in as best as I can. And at some point here I realized I didn't have enough textured paste, and see, it looks pretty good. I was pleased with that. And I said, okay, I can't dip my spatula back into the paste, so I'm just gonna use my hand. And hey, you know, sometimes the crafty world is a dangerous place, and you gotta do what you have to do. You know, it's gonna be okay. So I left it as is, and I moved forward. As I was stenciling the texture paste onto my projects, I did wonder if it will look okay stenciling over the embossed image. And I decided just to try it out because that's the only way you'll find out. And it's really stark white here, but it does kind of dry back. It does kind of mute once it dries. And of course, as you've already seen, the projects came out really nice, and you know what, there's really I didn't see any issue with doing the stenciling over the embossed image. I thought it came out really pretty. By the way, this snowflake stencil was another product from Simon Says Stamp, and it came out, I think it came out in one of their card kits, and I think it was the Oh Holy Night card kit it came out on, if I remember right. But you can still buy this separately, since the kit's already sold out. You can buy the stencil separately, and I don't know what the name of the stencil is, but if you just type in, I think, Oh Holy Night, that should pop up. So off camera, I decided to add more texture, and I just sprayed Kitsch Flamingo Distress Oxide Spray, Gold Shimmer Spray, and some water. So I will be using that Merry Christmas stamp there from the Oh Holy Night Simon Says stamp set. I thought this was a good size stamp, so that it doesn't overtake the background that I work so hard on. I'm going to be embossing the sentiments on vellum, and this is just some random vellum that I saw on Amazon. It was very cheap. It was just something I grabbed. So I will be stamping 2 of the sentiments in gold, and hopefully I'll remember to use my embossing static powder, and then I'll be stamping the other 2 in black. And as you see here, I did not remember to use my anti-static powder, but you know what, it actually came out, and I didn't need to do it for any of these. Of course, I didn't know it at the time when I was doing this, but after it's all said and done, I really didn't need to use my anti-static tool. So now I'm going to be adding the clear embossing powder, and I will be heat setting that. And once it's done, you can't really tell, but for these black sentiments, I actually added too much heat to the vellum, and at the very edge it kind of bubbles up and turns white, and I don't think the camera shows it, and I was going to let it pass and just kind of let it kind of fade in the background, because it actually would have, because of the white textured paste. but I didn't like it. I decided to cut it off, but you know what? I'll tell you more about that once I get there in the video. So now I am stamping, and I used my anti-static tool this time for only one, but I'm stamping it again twice more so that I can heat emboss it in gold. And I love this gold. In fact, I never have any issues with this one gold powder from WOW. It never seems to stick on anything, whether I use the powder tool or not. So I really like it. I'm not really sure what's in it, but I've heard before that there's something that WOW treats their powder with, but I don't really know for sure. Don't quote me on that. Look at that beautifulness. This is where things start to fly away with my heat tool. And because of that, I actually did mess up one of them. So it's really easy to fix that. All I did was restamp it again and put more embossing powder and just heat it up. And it's good and no one knows. So here's all my sentiment strips, and as you can see, that one spot where I overheated the vellum at the very edge there. So I thought I'll just go with it, and that's what I tried doing. And so now I am just adding the sentiments to which I thought were the best for each card panel. And I've chosen them, and now it's time for me to adhere it. And what I do is, because I do wrap it around the card panel, I just used just regular Scotch tape in the back. So here I am trying to cut that edge off, and again, I'm sorry about the overhead plane. Someone is reaching their destination right now, and it's not me going to Hawaii, which I wish I was able to. Okay, so that didn't work out. I tried using my decorative scissors, and it just came out to be a disaster, so I decided to restamp it again on some white cardstock. Now, this card, I decided to put on this card at that edge because that snowflake that I'm covering up was kind of a greenish, weird color. I didn't like it, so that's why I went with a solid colored cardstock rather than having it vellum. I wanted to cover that as much as I could. And now I'm just wrapping the others in the vellum sentiment strips, just using my Scotch tape. Any Scotch tape will do. And it's going to be okay. No one's going to see the back. I'm finally running the corner to the finish line, and I decide to pull out my pink and blue cardstock because I thought it would look really nice because I have pink and blue. Also because I am trying to go outside my white box or my craft color box or my black cardstock box and use other colors. I have so many other cardstock colors, and I want to be able to branch out, force myself to get out of that my regular safe space. So now I'm just adhering it. Now I'm just adhering each of the card panels to the card fronts, and you'll see me do this for all four, of course. Now I will be staying quiet just for a little while, but while it's quiet, just enjoy the card making process, and I'll be back in a minute. Hi, I'm back. So now it's time to add the gems. I love these gems. Again, these are just gems that I found on Amazon. They're just random gems. At this point, I noticed that the card panel, not on this one, but it's the other pink one, is not on correctly. Oh, actually, it was that one. So I decided to cut it off, and as I cut it off, of course, my sentiment was cut off in the process. So I had to trim it a little bit, and I couldn't just glue it down. I just wasn't able to. So I decided to pop it up on foam tape and put that card panel back onto a new pink card base. And it's a little bit smaller than I originally intended, but that's okay, no big deal. For the sentiment, it doesn't go across, and I didn't want to restamp it again, and it's still usable, so I was very careful in placing my glue, because of course it will show through the vellum, and because this has texture, it made it even harder to adhere, but with some persistence, I was able to make it work. Whew! That could have been a crafting disaster. Thankfully, I was able to fix it. So now I get to adhere it back onto the card panel there. And, I wanted to center it a little bit better, but I didn't. It's a little offset, but it's much better than being crooked. Don't mind me as I toss all my gems around. So now I'm just adding gems to my card, and will do so for the remainder of my cards. Now all four cards are completed. I'm very pleased with how they came out. Now here's a quick overview of each of the four cards. Hopefully this video inspires you to pull out your stamps and embossing glaze and whatever else that you have. And hopefully it encourages you to continue on even if you tear your project or put on a card panel incorrectly. Please go ahead and like this video if you liked the video, and please stick around and see my other videos on this channel. Thanks, until next time.